We'd like to call the January 16th, 2000.
Martha Mamadi, yes. Lisa Bell? Yes. Marletta Stevens?
Yes. Thank you. Motion carries. We're at item E on our agenda, and we're at
Are down from last year, and overall we're doing a great job, a big improvement from last year, and I'm very, very thankful for the guidance of the superintendent and central office and the board. At this time, I'd like to focus on some of the excellence that we have here in regards to the students. I try to talk to the students as much as possible individually, and last week I encountered a young man who had transferred from Berrien Springs. Just talking to him, I was really amazed at some of his insight in terms of some of the things that he's experiencing here at Ben Harbor High School. His name is TJ Jones. So Mr. Jones, can you come up for a second and share with us what you shared?
I'm TJ. I transferred from Berrien Springs High School. I grew up around Ben Harbor, but transferred, I came and a lot of people said that wasn't the right move for me. But coming here, I actually been amazed. Like, it's not what everybody think it is. It's actually better than that. And we got some amazing students around here, like very smart and all. And I love it here. I wish I was here all 4 years.
Okay, periodically, students will come to me because they know my background in terms of history, and they share certain things with me. About a month ago, this brilliant young lady came into my office and she asked me to hear her speech. And after she had finished, I was literally dumbfounded. 16-year-old, with the perspective that she had in terms of seeing the world as it is, was truly amazing. And she's only a microcosm of some of the students that we have here in this building in terms of academic excellence. So right now, I'm going to ask her to come up. Her name is Denisha Moore, and let you hear the speech that she shared with me in my office.
My name is Daisha Moore, and the speech that I told to him was actually a speech I presented at the Martin Luther King Jr. breakfast at LMC. I had won second place in the contest, and so I tried to invite as many people as possible, and he was able to make it, and so that was a lovely surprise. And so now I will present my speech. It was based off of the theme of the cost of silence. There is power in every syllable we utter from our mouths. The power to impact, unite, rectify, and empower those around us. Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. once said, "Our lives begin to end the very day we become silent about things that matter." We allow others to beat, batter, and diminish our worth with their tongue lashing fiery words, imprinting themselves upon us like a burden we must now carry. Yet we silence our own tongue, refraining to speak out against the bind society has held on us since birth. What is the cost of our silence? We lose the power we once felt burning in our bellies, beating in our hearts, racing through our very minds. They have dictated, manipulated, and contorted our minds to believe that we cannot be better than an average white male. Many people do not understand the great gift that God has given to them. The opportunity to speak out against discrimination, exploitation, delinquency, and extortion. A young girl, barely 9 years old, is raped and beaten by her drunk father almost every night. She has become so broken and hollow on the inside that she refuses to speak. School is her church, her sanctuary. and she prays that someone will listen, that someone will notice. But notice what? What is different about the silent girl with no smile? The girl that simply nods and never gets upset. The girl that sits in her seat at the front of the class, praying the teacher will see the pain and suffering etched into her soul. The girl with no voice. The girl with no escape from her torment. Her name is silence. We become this little girl. Every day we view the corrupt and unjust acts of this world and do nothing. Every day we choose to ignore the innocent Black men being murdered in cold blood. Is there no justice? Who will speak out against this open torment? African Americans have tried so hard to break free from the false idea of white supremacy that once we had just a taste of the blissful freedom we craved, we became silent. We no longer paid mind to the racism stirring around us, choosing instead to turn against one another. We turn against one another, thinking the other to have ill intent. Do you not see? Are you so blind as to become this little girl with no voice? Silence is not an option. The government slithers like the cunning snake in the Garden of Eden, whispering false words into our ears. It burns my heart so to see that we give in like the innocent blind Eve. Why did we not call out to our Father? Why did we not seek guidance from those before us? The elders of our generation could see the turn of corruption, yet they too remain silent. You ask why? Why would they be silent knowing our impending demise? We have turned our backs to them. We have made them grow silent as they watch our blind ignorance. They see us become silent towards one another and they shake their heads in disapproval. We are all we have left in a country running wild with racism in every crack and crevice. From rich to poor, we are being judged for the pigment of our skin, and nobody will speak out. Day in and day out, we carry on with our lives as if our children aren't disappearing, as if our husbands aren't being held prisoner in foreign countries, as if my brothers aren't being shot before my eyes for raising their hands. We stay silent about the many influential Black males they continue to imprison with no evidence. If you do not understand the words I'm saying to you, then please understand this. Every time we start to utter a word against the treachery being done to us, they try to bind us. They try to lock us away so that nobody will dare to glance your way and hear what you have to say. They want to silence our voices in fear that others will notice that we will no longer accept the conditions America has bound us by. My response to this folly, this foolishness that has been put before me, is to lash out using the very fire that they hope to annihilate and dismantle. I refuse to stay silent and let them try to tell me what I can and can't be. How dare I allow them to tell me how successful I will be? How dare I stay silent when the teacher tries to keep my sister at a third grade mentality? How dare I allow them to lock up my uncle and throw away the key 100 miles away from the crime scene? How dare I? The question was asked of me, what would I do if I was mute? My response to this is simple. I will take my pen to the pad and keep writing until my hands grow old and weary. I will not stay silent any longer. My voice will ring through every letter printed on those dull pages, roaring to life. I will not stop until my brothers and sisters heed my words to speak up before it's too late. So I ask you today, ladies and gentlemen, what is the cost of your silence?
Benton Harbor. What exactly? This is just an example of many students in this building that possess these untapped talents. And we talk about hidden figures. They're right here. They're right here. Next, I'd like to introduce a young man who's also a transfer student. He's been here before, but he decided to come back. His name is Jalen Vinson, and he was just voted one for Miss Ben Harbor. My God, Mr. Ben Harbor.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I am Jalen Vincent, Mr. Benton Harbor, 2018. Like Mr. Pearson stated, I'm a recent transfer from Countryside. I came back because I overheard some students talking about how they were struggling with Algebra 2, but they had a good teacher. But so happened over at Countryside, I was doing the same thing. I was struggling. And so once I transferred back, I said, hey, if I'm a struggle, I might as well struggle somewhere that I feel comfortable. Because I wrote Mr. Pearson a letter and told him I'm a tiger at heart. At the end of the day, I bleed orange and black. And so I decided to transfer back over. But while other kids were struggling, this teacher was helping me overcome the things that I couldn't overcome at Countryside. This teacher felt the things that I was going through. She understood that maybe I wasn't catching on to certain things. She took her time to teach me certain things that I wasn't, understanding. And so, because I already knew I wanted to go to school to be an engineer, and someone was always in my ear telling me that math is a big portion of being an engineer. And so I knew that I had to apply myself with the proper guidance from a teacher such as Ms. Missman. I was able to get a grasp of math and overcome the obstacles I couldn't overcome. And so I like to tell you a little bit about my future goals. I plan to go to Grand Valley. I met with them Tuesday, but I plan to attend Grand Valley for engineering. And hopefully after my first year, I'll receive an internship at UPS. I've been working alongside with a society called National Black Engineering Society, called NESB. And I have built a good relationship with these guys. They help me with math because, like I said, they're engineers. So I get it. I don't know how to say it. I get a head start, more so a step closer to my goal. So while other kids are struggling, I try to show them different ways that you can obtain your goals. Like I went out on my own. My mom didn't tell me to go do it. My teachers wasn't telling me to go do it. I went out on my own and met with this group because I knew I seen something in myself if nobody else did. Thank you.
Okay, Ms. Ben Harbor is not here tonight, but she's also from Ben Harbor High School, Ms. Glenda Poole. Let's give her a round of applause. And last but not least, I'd like the varsity basketball team to come up here, boys basketball. And the coaches. Mr. Sterling, can you come up and have a seat? Now, what you're viewing in your midst is one of the greatest basketball teams that we've had in this school in a long time. They're ranked second in Class B in the state of Michigan, and they're ranked sixth overall. Please give them a round. I ask the head coach to introduce each player and the coaches from this point.
And I want to thank the board and the superintendent for just everything you do on keeping the school alive, keeping it open. You know, these players, they grew up hearing the school going to close. They all want to be Tigers, but y'all fight every year to keep these doors open. So I want to thank you for that. The kids are very successful on the court just because they're successful off the court. You know, they're great character kids. And they got high GPAs. All our seniors will be in college next year. That being said, I want to introduce. Matter of fact, I'm gonna let them introduce themselves. Say your name.
All right, I'm started off, Miles Wilson, I'm a senior.
Terrell Jones, senior. Christopher Connors Jr. Justin Brown Jr. Denny Brown, I'm an 18-year-old senior.
Shaw Hopkins, senior. Rose Johnson, sophomore. Sean Jennings, senior. Damon Walker, junior. Devin Nichols, senior. Elijah Baxter, senior. Corey Lewis, senior. Travis Favorite, I'm a senior. Chris Conway, junior.
Assistant coach Curtis McFarland.
Assistant coach Justin Woodley.
Assistant coach Sheldon Nelson.
Thank you.
Okay, as you can see, we have some wonderful students here, and I'm very proud of them. And it's been a lifelong dream for me to be the principal of Harbor High School, being a former student athlete and myself, so thank you very much.
I got a very busy schedule. I'm gonna say something real quick. I'm being respectful. When I was in high school, we had Michigan Works. I worked. Sir, can you hold on 1 second? Because we do have an agenda and we do have some important business and we don't mean to be, but if you'd hold on, we'll turn it back to the superintendent. Thank you so much.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Pearson. Can you all hear me? Thank you, Ms. Seats. Thank you, Mr. Pearson and the high school students. Can we give them all one more? I appreciate the variety of talent that you share with us tonight, from the academic to the athletic and everything between. We do have amazing students, so thank you again. At this time, not on the agenda, but a very important part of the agenda is this month is the School Board Recognition Month. And so we had a little reception for you all coming into this evening, and wanted to take a moment to appreciate you as our school board. And as it was said by, I think, Coach Sterling, the effort and the work of the school board can often be overlooked and is a very strenuous job, and helping particularly in Vincent Harbor maintain the schools and keeping them open, living the journey with you the last 2 years. It's a job. So we appreciate you and wanted to recognize you. So we have plaques for you. And if I could, the schools that correlate with each board member, if you want to come up as I call that school and share with them your token. Okay? Okay? All right, we're going to start with a plaque on top. This is to Ms. Lisa Gully, who is our current board vice president. Would you give her a round of applause, please? We have Ms. Seats, again, who is our new president of the school board. If we could recognize Ms. Seats. Thank you, Ms. Seats. Okay, Ms. Gast. We'd like to recognize Trustee Gast as a member of the school board. Thank you, Ms. Gast. Mr. Taylor. We'd like to recognize our past president, Mr. Taylor. Mr. Mitchell, we'd like to recognize you as well. Mrs. Momini, I know you're next. We'd like to recognize Ms. Momini. She is our new secretary. And last but certainly not least is Ms. Angelica McGowan, our treasurer. I do think the school has something for you all, so if they're not out there with it, they will be getting that to you. So thank you very much. We could give the board another round of applause. Oh, okay, thank you. They are posted around the room as well. You're going to see some notes and things to you. So if you want to, after the meeting or in between have time, you can go take a look as well. Thank you. Our next round of recognitions goes to several staff members. I'd like to call them up one at a time. We will start with Nathaniel Cook. Mr. Cook, while you're coming forward to my class, Mr. Cook is the band music teacher at ACA. Outside of school hours, Mr. Cook stepped up and got a 30-student band to the Arts District to perform in the tree lighting ceremony. He spent that afternoon on Thursday transporting music stands for the event, never complained, just did what's needed to be done. And I had the pleasure last year of frequenting that event, and it was just amazing, the joy with which the children play, the way the community receives them. So Mr. Cook, we just want you to know that we appreciate you for what you do to create experiences for our students. Thank you so much. I'm sorry. One more applause for Mr. Cook. And if he has family or friends here, Mr. Cook, can I wave or stand up? Thank you so much for supporting him. Next, we have Mr. Evans. Many of us know him as our high school band director. Again, getting out, performing at the Arts District Trunk or Treat, which I'm told would have been a dud without the band. And he's done this twice now, I know, and just really brought joy to the event. As I've heard from community members as well as staff. We won't even get into the work you do with the marching band. The progress that you all have made is so tangibly evident for those of us who watched you from the start to the end of this football season. So kudos to you. And again, your commitment to bring experiences to our young people. We thank you. Are there any family members of Mr. Evans in the audience? And if so, would you please stand? Okay, just wave if you're a good friend of his. Thank you so much for supporting him. And last but certainly not least, we have Mr. Diorio. If you could please stand. Not many know this, but the Berrien Foundation Director Lisa Chris Downing needed some help unloading a truck of supplies. She had reached out to one of our staff members for help. Mr. Diorio was there. He not only stepped up to go help, but he also organized our football players, and they went over and helped to unload just a truck full of materials for Ms. Downing for the Berrien Foundation. And we just wanted to let you know we appreciate you for your representation of the district and giving our young men an opportunity to provide service to the community at large. So thank you very much. And if Mr. Diorio has any family members in the audience, friends, wave again. All right, so we thank you all, our staff members, for what you're doing for kids. We appreciate it. And once seated, I will turn this back over to our president and seats.
Thank you, Superintendent, and thank you to all of the people who make this district better. Thank you. At this time, it is an opportunity for public comment, and we do ask that you keep your comments to 3 minutes, and please give us your name, address, And also, for housekeeping, please put your phones on silence, if you would, to everybody. Thank you. So we are asking that if anybody has any comments at this time, if you would please approach the board at this table, and then we can have public comments. Thank you.
My stage name is AMAC, my address is 271. Anyhow, I remember back when I was in high school, we had Michigan Works. I'm gonna put my glasses on because this is how I feel. Try to be respectful as I can. But yeah, in the same token, I remember when I was like 14, 15, I had a maintenance job, I worked hard, and I want to bring that back to the city. However, I remember real people that was in position. Nothing against you, superintendent, but Paula Donner, she taught me a lot. She taught me how to become a better man. We had telecommunication. Mr. Turner, I miss them type of people. I miss Mr. Triplett. When Mr. Triplett got fired, it was like you guys cut the tiger string off or whatnot. I don't have nothing against anybody in that regard. I love everybody, but yet I just remember real people being in position. I don't got nothing against you. I don't got nothing against the teacher back here, that be on Snapchat or whatnot. She's just a mentor or whatnot. However, I be feeling some type of pain. I be feeling emotional a little bit because I miss those type of people in those type of positions because they taught us well. And Willie, that used to be the sport athlete or whatnot in the department. He was cool back when I graduated in 06. So my class or whatnot. We had gym class. We put things together. He taught me how to become a better man. And however, I can't even shout out everybody, but yet in the same token, it's just a token of my appreciation. I know I got 3 minutes or whatnot to speak, but yeah, I want to show these cool kids that they can become better citizens, that they can go to college and stuff like that. However, yeah, I do a lot of things. I'm an entertainer, I'm an entrepreneur, but yet in the same token, I do me, and that's just what I am. And if anybody feel a certain type of way, then oh well, and that's just what it be. I'm gonna go support my Lady Tigers because I'm a tiger. I got tiger pride, but yet some people make me mad. They don't make me racist. They don't make me prejudiced or whatnot. Like a white person can make me mad, and yet in the same token, this is like if Wilson or Joy came through here, and one person made me mad that was white or black or whatever, and I said this or that or whatnot, right? In the same token, just like the Ku Klux Klan, just like whatever cult or whatnot, just like Kappas, just like Omegas or whatnot. You know what I'm saying? Like, why?
Sir, I'm sorry. Your 3 minutes is up.
That was 3 minutes?
Yeah.
All right.
Like 3 minutes and 10 seconds. So we appreciate your comments and for being an alumni, and thank you so much. Thank you for being here. Hi. Hello.
I'm Dr. Spencer. I'm a family nurse practitioner here at the Student Health Center. And we just wanted to come over and thank all of you for what you do with the students and let you know that we enjoy serving the student community. I'm so thankful to see Principal here. We are working hard with Dream Academy as well. And I can honestly say I just started this position in September, I think. Every student I have met has been so polite, so kind. I have not had, you always hear all these stories about Benton Harbor, right? Every student I have encountered has been polite, kind and thoughtful, and we're just excited and happy to be here. We are also going to start opening our services up to 5-year-olds. Initially it was just for the high school, but we're going to start serving those younger children as well at the Student Health Center. We're going to be going to MLK and Hall School to meet with the principals there soon, and getting those services available for our young people. And we're just happy to be able to do that and serve this community. Anything else here?
My name is Cheryl Ann, and I'm the coordinator at the Student Health Center. We just stopped by today to say we appreciate it very much. And we figured this was a good time to do it. Recognition time. We dropped off some little Student Health Center bags with some giveaways that we give away for you. And just to say thank you for your support.
One last thing, there is a high level of flu in this community right now. I've diagnosed at least 6 people on Friday with the flu, positive flu, and it's highly contagious, and it also has been causing some deaths. There were some deaths in Kalamazoo and Portage area last week. So just be aware of that. Good hand washing, lots of water, vitamin C, and zinc.
Thank you. And thank you for the gift to all the board members. Thank you so much.
Hello, my name is Trina Wells. My address is 1430 Nelson Road, St. Joseph, Michigan. I have a question. I just want to know why the Girls and Pros program was discontinued. Grant. I really enjoyed working with our young girls. We had 51 girls enrolled in the program. We had 33 over at ACA and 18 girls over at Dream Academy. Unfortunately, some of the questions that they asked me when we started the program, would the program be canceled at any given point? They were so committed and so excited about it. I tried to assure them that it would not be canceled. However, a lot of the girls did not want to commit because of the increased system. I personally don't want to believe that it is a personal thing against myself or my husband because of Mildred C. Wells Academy. I want to just let you know we are not the president of the school. Our church is not affiliated with the school. That school was in position and in place prior to us transitioning to Benton Harbor. I love serving this community. I love working with young girls, and I would just hate to see a lot of our young girls lost because we don't have an empowerment program in the community. So I would just like to know why the program was actually canceled. I would like to continue to work with the girls on a volunteer basis because I have gained a rapport with them. The relationship has already been established. I have been working with them faithfully for the last 4 weeks, and they're excited about it. We're discussing goals, setting goals, creating vision boards, teaching them how to achieve their goals. They're talking about college. They want to know explanations. They want to know things, and this program was providing that for them. Skill set, personal development. I had 7 women that volunteered to work along with me because they see the need in the community. They really see the girls going down a different path. And so they were committed, not asking for anything from me, not asking for anything from the school. They were just committed because they want to see our girls do better, our Black girls. So I just don't want to believe that it was personal. I just don't want to believe that. I just know that you all are better than that. I believe that you are professionals. And I would like for you to reconsider. I really do. And if you do not want to pay me under the safety grant, I will volunteer for free because I am committed. I am committed to the cause. And even though I don't live in Benton Harbor, our church is here. Our church is in Benton Harbor. We serve our community. And like I say, it's not about the money, it's about serving. So I would like to be considered, if you will, to allow me to volunteer, but I would like to know why the program was canceled. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else from the public at this time which would like to approach the board? And if you would get Mrs. Wells information, Mrs. Wells, we will get you a response. we'll get you a timely response. Thank you. If there are no other public comments at this time, we have a senior college tour presentation from Dream Academy. So, thank you. I believe that is Mr. James.
Good evening, everyone. And again, I am always conscious of everyone's time. But before I go any further, I want to give my hat off and stand and applaud the high school for all their achievements, because their achievements is our achievements as well. So therefore, and now to be brief, I think you all have a copy of a proposed agenda that we've been talking about for the last year and a half over at Dream. We understand preparing our kids for that secondary education level, but sometimes we have to take smaller steps to reach that level of destination. And this is our way of taking a smaller step. We understand that there's a promise program that's in place to identify with 2 years of our students' academic growth. So we're looking at those 2 years and how to best utilize those 2 years. And we put together a actually feasible agenda that would feed and expose our kids to all possibilities that's available for them at that secondary level. We want to do a West Michigan College, junior college tour, and going as far over as to Washtenaw Community College and working our way back, going through Lansing, Grand Rapids, Muskegon, and on back down to Lake Michigan College. But this is something that I know personally will benefit our kids, because of the simple fact that the preparation for that next level of education sometimes go untampered with, and we need to tamper with it. It's our duty to prepare them for it. So this is something that we put together to try to provide some additional opportunities and assistance for them. And on the backside of that, you'll see the staff and the responsibilities that we put in place. Now, granted, before questions come at me in reference to this and the responsibility that the staff will be holding, let's not constantly reflect onto a bad situation that has happened in the past, and how do we move forward if we don't have faith in the programs that's before us. So let's give our opportunities and take a real serious look at what's before you and see if it can best benefit the growth and the direction that we're going with our students. And that's me in a full.
Are there any questions of the board at this time? This is FYI, and Ms. Robinson also will be next month bringing us to us for a formal acceptance. But you do have opportunity, Mr. Taylor, and then Trustee McGowan.
This is during spring break. I know it's got April, but I don't know if that's spring break.
Yes, ma'am. We target spring break because I know in the past there's been an annual Black College tour that takes place throughout the district, and they go during the operating hours. That sometimes hinders the education development. So we're looking at spring break and 3 days of the middle of that spring break, which is that Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, still allowing our students the opportunity to celebrate that weekend prior and that weekend after. So we are looking at spring break so it won't interfere with the academic hours.
Thank you, Trustee Taylor.
So this is awesome because you're targeting Michigan schools.
Correct.
So I appreciate that, right? Because we're in the state of Michigan. We can utilize the promise, and even if they didn't utilize the promise, right, it's going to be more impactful for a parent's pocket because they don't have to pay out-of-state costs. So thanks.
Correct, and I think all of you probably know as well as I do. Now some of the 2-year institutions that we're targeting on here do offer 4-year degrees. So therefore, that's more cost efficient for some of our students and parents. So that's what we're looking forward to. Now, granted, as you read down, you will see our kids are still going to be exposed to those 4-year institutions, and they will be exposed to those historically Black colleges and universities. I'm a product of that. So there's no way I can't support that. But Grand Rapids, we're going to partner with Grand Rapids Public School System, who does a Black college fair to where they invite every Black institution in the country to come on that day. And we're gonna take a bus up and allow our kids to spend that morning and afternoon gaining all exposures and information needed for their information on Black institutions.
Yes, trustee Mom.
Okay, I reiterate what Mr. Taylor said. I'm excited that you're doing unrestricted for your colleges because that will be funded for the students. And then everyone pretty well knows when it comes to these trips, I'm a real hard nose. I have high expectations, but I appreciate that there will be staff, they will schedule for watch duties throughout the evening and ensuring the students are safe. I truly appreciate your effort in the time to keep these kids safe.
And see, and I found myself guilty to that because I'm one that don't sleep. So sitting up and making sure our kids are safe and being in compliance, that's a given for us.
And I also appreciate you making a big break.
Thank you very much, ma'am.
Trustee Geller.
Okay, so, I see that it says when we reaching out to Pilgrim Rest, use their bus. And then the follow-up plan would be Mrs. Brown for students about using their buses. So, do you know if their bus is up to code and everything mechanically is good with Pilgrim Rest bus?
Yes, we've used Pilgrim Rest transportation bus in the past, and actually we were scheduled to even utilize their service this year for our basketball program to go down to Indianapolis. So I know it's up to par and up to code, but that's, like I said, that's just a first step initiative because of the simple fact that that bus offered comfort and with that very little cost. But then, as you see, we have a contingency plan to talk with Ms. Brown over at First Student to see if there's a bus unit that we could utilize with them if needed as well.
Okay. Well, overall, I do think this is a good idea, and like Mr. Taylor said, with the promise, this is an attainable expense for the people of our community as well as the parents. Because I went down south, I wanted to go far away from Ben Harbor as I could, and it was costly, and I was just so far away from home, and my mother didn't have any money, so it was a lot of times I couldn't get back home to even, say for spring breaks or different breaks because of the expense. So if we can get them to see the importance of being in a school in Michigan, I think that'll be good, and we can have a better turnaround for graduation.
Thank you very much. And also to speak in reference of the financial concept of this, we've already had one of our community partners donate $250 to cover one of our students already. So that took place just this morning. But with this total, that makes it more feasible when we reach out to our partners that we're not asking for thousands and thousands of dollars to help cover the advancement of our students. So we try to be consciously friendly on how we create these steps to help our students achieve their goals and our goals as well.
Any more questions from the board? Yes, trustee McDowell.
I just want a little more clarification. You talked about the cost. So this is where the student is coming up with their own money, or you have people that are donating. This is not where the district is being asked to pay.
We're not coming to the district to ask for or request any funding. We want the students to give some so they can understand the value of it, but we are also reaching out to community partners to help support this as well.
So if you want to sponsor one, trustee Gowan, please feel free.
I appreciate it, guys.
Any other questions from the board? Thank you, Mr. James. Thank you.
No, thank you, guys.
The effort that's been put into the senior college tour. At this time, on the agenda, we have the Clark Hill law firm is here, and they have engagement letters. If you would please come and present those engagement letter resolutions to the board. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. Thanks for having us tonight. My name is Kara Rosen from Clark Hill. I'm here with my partner, Nancy Mullet. We have presented 2 engagement letters to the board. I believe you have copies of them in your board packet. They are both dated January 12th. They describe certain legal matters that the board is seeking to retain Clark Hill PLC as legal counsel for the district and the Board of Education. We've also presented you with a proposed resolution adopting and approving those engagement letters as presented. So we are here to request that the board make a motion to approve the engagement letters dated January 12, 2018 as presented and approve the resolution. If you do not have a copy of either the engagement letters or resolution, I do have extras to provide.
I do believe the board, and I'll give them just a second to look over it, and we do have a prepared motion that will be read by the school board secretary as soon as the board is ready.
Thank you.
Have the resolution.
We do have it, trustee McGowan, if you would. And soon as the board members are ready, if you would give me an indication by looking up or looking in this direction. And Mr. Taylor, you're ready. I'm waiting on Mr. Mitchell. And Trustee Gully, when you're ready, we will entertain a motion to accept the agreement. Trustee Mitchell is ready. Trustee Gully, are you ready?
Agreement. Oh, so it's the Ben Harbor grievance and student disciplinary procedures. Is that like for expulsion?
So it's in conjunction with the BHEA grievance that was filed regarding student discipline procedures. Yes. Yes.
Oh, the one with the teachers union.
Correct. Correct. So that's the first engagement letter, and the second was as a result of the December 14th, 2017 board vote to retain Clark Hill for the investigation.
Okay, I'm clear on that.
Okay, you're welcome.
Okay, so if all minds are clear, I'm asking Trustee Momini if you would present the motion to the board, and I do need a second for that motion.
Whereas 2 engagement letters from Clark Hill PLC dated January 12, 2018 have been presented to the Board of Education for approval. The engagement letters seek to confirm that Clark Hill PLC has been retained as legal counsel for the Benton Harbor Area Schools and its Board of Education as legal counsel in connection with matters as described in the engagement letters. Whereas the board finds that Clark Hill PLC shall be retained as legal counsel for the Benton Harbor Area Schools and its Board of Education. Now therefore it is resolved that the Board of Education retains Clark Hill PLC to provide legal services to the Benton Harbor Area Schools and its Board of Education, and the board authorizes Board President Ron Seats to execute the engagement letters as presented.
We do have a motion, and I do need a second. We have a second from Trustee Gass. Trustee Momini, if you would call the roll, please.
Okay, Mr. Mitchell. Yes. Mr. Taylor.
Yes.
Ms. Gass. Yes. Ms. McGowan. Yes. Momini, yes. Ms. Gully.
Yes.
And Ms. Seats.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Thank you. The motion is carried. And then we did move the closed session, as you know.
Yes.
And then we'll entertain a motion at that time.
Thank you, Ms. Seats. Thank you, board. Thank you, administration.
Thank you for your service.
We are at item number 5 on the agenda, business and finance, and we would ask Carolyn Gibbs if she would. Ms. Gibbs, at this moment, I do believe part of the agenda, we did ask for the real estate offers to be moved to January 23rd. We're having a real estate conversation or meeting at that time. So if you would, if that's convenient, thank you. Is that okay with the board? That we wait until January 23rd? Okay. Superintendent, we're going to move this item to January 23rd. Thank you, Ms. Gibbs. You may proceed.
So normally we would move right to the staff report, but there were some questions that came up last meeting, so I thought I would address them. So, Madam President, you had a question about pupil services, and I think part of some of the line items that were different is we were presenting in November, you all approved the budget in December, so we had some discrepancies because of that. But on pupil services specifically, the charge there is for our culture and climate. And when we went through and updated our Title I budget, we did go ahead and update that budget. So that variance showed because we had $40,000 of expenses against a $2,500 budget, but that budget in the December revised budget was adjusted to $150,000. Tied with that, I want to address two of Ms. Mama, I'm going to say your name wrong, sorry. I'm learning. Two questions. So one was the computer purchase, because that also stuck out in our tech services. And again, you asked a very good question, where did we get the funding for that? Because it was not allowed to be adjusted into Title I. And we can go into the details. I know Robinson did that. But so where we're going to fund it out of is at risk for $286,000. $101,000 from the new 2017 sinking fund, because that sinking fund allows technology to be funded by sinking fund. And then there'll be $24,000 that we have identified within the general fund to make the $418,000 be funded. So I wanted to clarify where that came from. Also tied to that was a request for line item budget changes. It actually was presented in December, and so I reattached it here again, so it goes through every single account number, what the budget was and what it was approved in December. But I guess I would ask, and Ms. McGowan and I, as the treasurer, are meeting later this week, is maybe there's a format that would work better for everybody, because from what my experience is in the resolution, we go very high with revenues and a couple line items, and then we immediately go into all the detail account by account. It's 107 pages. So perhaps there's a better way that we could show. I know staff did show a PowerPoint, but again, it's probably at a high level, but maybe Ms. McGowan and I can figure out, and with the other board members, input a way that we could show that so everybody feels comfortable, because as you see, the resolution has about 10 items, and then we have a report that's 107 pages. So maybe there's something in between that would allow everybody to see. But I did want to, again, attach it, because we did show what the budget was and what it's going to be for every line item within the detailed budget of the district. And then last but not least is cash flow. So we do in fact do a cash flow forecast. We're actually required by the consent agreement to do a 20-month forecast. What I'm showing here, and it's impossible to read, so I apologize to everybody in the audience. And again, we could probably do a better summary for you all, but because this was a request and I did want to share that we do in fact have one. It's what's presented here is the school year, so 17-18 school year. It starts with our on-hand cash balance. At this point in the year, we are always have a higher cash balance, because we actually get our state aid note funded to us early in the year, and we get our property taxes from Benton Harbor funded in the year. But this goes through month by month what the actual results are coming in from Benton Harbor property and other community property taxes, what we get in our state aid note, what we get from our grant funding, and that timing is different than the Michigan funding. So our federal funds, we actually don't take much in the beginning of the year, because we're still finishing out a grant year. You all know the federal government timeline ends September 30th, so we have a little bit of an inconsistency there. And then Trish works very hard with her administration to get all the new funding in its place. And then we do drawdowns as we're spending that money. So there's a little bit of a timing difference. Whereas, for instance, our real estate taxes come up at the beginning. So it goes through there month by month what the expectation is. And then we have the actuals. And then for the disbursements, because of some of the consent requirements, we're actually required to forecast some of our bigger purchases. So you'll see there's a line for CSM because it's over $100,000. There's a line for our bus transportation. So there's, in the forecast portion, we're required, and I think it's good for all of us to look at this, to show those. When we do our actuals, we give you the line item detail. So there again, I think we jump from kind of a summary level to a very detailed when we give you actual. So maybe going forward, we could figure out a way to summarize that information as well. And then it'll also show on the bottom part our debt payments. So at the top, it shows our tax note coming in. It shows the emergency loan funds coming in. On the bottom portion, we show our interest payments. We have a little bit of a luxury here in the next 18 months or so where we're making primarily interest-only payments. And then it also shows how we have to pay back the Michigan state aid note. And again, that's a timing issue. So as we're closing out 1 year with Michigan Department of Treasury, we're getting our tax note for the next year. So you get the money up front and then you're making the payments at the end of the year as we start requesting the payments for the next year. And then you'll see all the way in the far right, that's the full year. And so while we have just about $7 million on hand right now, you see we're forecasting 600,000 normally because of the situation we're in, where we're kind of break even from a budget and cash flow standpoint. We have a little bit of money forecasted at the end of this year because we have not spent all of the safety grant. We intend to carry over money so we can continue to fund the counseling services that are being provided to us from Riverwoods. Otherwise, that balance should in effect be very small, like 50,000 or 100,000 until we get in a better cash flow position. The other request that you all had was the financial operating plan. That's actually a very 20-year plan, but I do think in February there's a way, again, we can summarize that and then address the debt payments. And so we can show over the next 6 or 7 years how the district begins to come out of the deficit situation and then is in a situation where we can begin to pay back our loans and make the investment in student services that we want. So we plan to do that in the February meeting. And I commit I will find a more succinct way, but because of the question I did want to show you, we do in fact have the forecast, we do track the actuals, and we by all means are happy to share that each month.
Questions, Trustee Mitchell?
Yes, Mr. This question I had last meeting concerning the purchase of the computers.
Yep.
My question was that the board approved the purchase in September, and that was coming from Title funds, Title I funds. And then it took until last meeting to be made aware that there was a change in plans as how they were going to be paid for. And my question was, why did it take 6 months for the board to find out that they were going to be purchased out of different funds?
So again, this is predates me, but I'll look to Tricia chime in anytime. But we thought it would be a part of Title I. So in September, as we finalized our Title I, we have to go ahead and say, here's how we finished out the grant and how we spent the money. There was an assumption that there could have been a change to the Title I, and this was not from Mrs. Robinson. This was from somebody who actually was from the business office. And there was a miscommunication between the departments within the central office and then also with our folks at MDE. So we tried, and part of it, and again, we're going to try to figure out, and we've done a really nice job. I will give Mrs. Robinson a lot of credit because we just had to submit on January 15th our current title budget. But because of that overlap with our school year ends June 30th, and the federal money ends September 30th. There sometimes is some miscommunication in the past about what year is this purchase supposed to be in. So the computers, to your point, were right at that end of the grant period, at the beginning of the school year. and who work here for summer school. So we got caught in the, I'll say, crosshairs there, for lack of a better term, of one grant ending, one grant starting, and when do we request the funds, and when did the computers show up? So going forward, I think Mrs. Robinson and I have put in a good place where we're going through this, and we now have a calendar. There was really just a misunderstanding in the business office from my experience of when those deadlines were. And so they thought it could be funded. We tried. The reason, to answer your question about the delay, we went back to the Treasury Department and Michigan Department and the federal folks probably 2 or 3 times trying to figure out a way to get that funded through title. And at the end, we just couldn't, based on the timing of the grants, when the applications were due, and when the actual spending took place.
Yeah, just really to your question, is why didn't we tell you? There really is not a reason why. Because we found out, we figured out why when we were due, that should have came to us right away. And it did not, so I apologize for that. And I'm making sure that I'm working with the business office personally to make sure that we're able to bring information through Dr. Walker, through the memo, so that you are updated on information as we get it.
Thank you for your answer.
Any other questions at this time from the board? And I would like to request that if anyone has any questions for Trustee McGowan before she meets with Carolyn, please submit those questions or suggestions so that when we do come to the board, that we're clear on how we want to see what we're looking for during the presentation. Because I would like to see, and I'd like to entertain the board soon to look at requisitions and put that as a line item. And as the requisitions come in, we get a sheet, we look at them, we approve the requisitions before we formally approve them in the form of a resolution. And so that way it doesn't generate, we don't have as many questions later on. If we get the requisitions to be paid and the bills that need to be paid, and hope that's not too complex. I've seen it, and put it on an item, on the agenda as an item, and then we just approve it in one motion. And so that would be something that the board would think about, just seeing all the requisitions in the sheet that are being paid out, and then each board member is allowed to review it, and the board members can sign it. There is a line on that requisition where each board member can individually approve it, and then when it comes to the board, we can do a formal approval. That way we can minimize some of the extra questions and digging in, but that is just a suggestion to this board. Okay, so if you want budget changes information, or are you done?
I'm done.
She's done. Any more questions or concerns from the board? Yes, okay. Next on the agenda, human resource
We have to do this. We have the
staff report.
Yeah.
Number 1.
The
Okay.
motion to accept what was presented.
Staff report number 1, we're looking for a motion from the board to accept staff report number 1 from Carolyn here.
Okay, I make a motion that the Benton Harbor Area School Board of Education votes to approve the November 2017 payments with the following funds: General Fund, Food Service, 2007 Sinking Fund, 2007 Sinking Fund, Student Activity Fund.
Okay, we have a motion from Trustee Taylor, and I would entertain a second. Okay, we do have a motion from Trustee McGowan. Is there any comments at this time before we call the roll? No questions or comments? Trustee Momini, would you call the roll, please?
Ms. McGowan? Yes. Yes. Ms. Kelly?
Yes.
Ms. Dean?
Yes.
Mr. Mitchell?
Yes.
Yes.
And Ms. Gass?
And Ms. Seach, yes. You did, I didn't hear you, I'm sorry. Okay. Staff report number 2. I will entertain a motion for staff report number 2 at this time. You're gonna skip that. Okay, so that will come on the agenda that again, Mr. Taylor had, requested when he was board president, and we will proceed with that. And if you will work with Mr. Taylor on that agenda, I appreciate it. Yes, ma'am. Thank you. Okay. You have a question, Ms. Dillon? Which one?
Oh, okay.
Okay, thank you. Human resources, I'm sorry. No, we had previously asked for the real estate to be moved, and because of the time frame, we didn't get opportunity to do that. But we did. Okay. Thank you. Human resources, at this time, Kelly Baptiste.
Thank you. Staff report number 3, termination of non-bargaining staff member. Reason for board consideration, the board must vote to terminate non-bargaining staff. The facts and analysis. In order to provide quality intervention services to students, it is essential that staff members have regular work attendance. Following a leave for personal reasons, Ms. Murphy not only failed to report to work between December 11th, 2017 and December 22nd, 2017, but also did not call in as required by the absence procedures. Multiple attempts were made to contact her, including a personal visit to her home. When communication was finally made, she indicated she would report to work the following day, but did not report the cause. A meeting to discuss her employment status was scheduled for December 20th, 2017, but she did not attend the meeting. So the recommended action is that the Benton Harbor Area Schools Board of Education votes to terminate the employment of behavior intervention specialist Tasha Murphy due to job failure.
Okay, staff report number 3. I would entertain at this time a motion for termination of our non-bargaining staff person. I have a motion from trustee Gass, and may I, any support? Trustee McGowan's support. Any questions or comments at this time? No questions or comments. Madam Secretary, if you would, call the roll.
Taylor?
Yes.
Ms. Gass? Yes. Brown? Yes. Mommy, yes. Ms. Kelly?
Yes.
Ms. C.
Yes. Staff report number 4.
All right, staff report 4, resignation of paraprofessional staff. Reason for board consideration, the board must vote to accept the resignations of the paraprofessional staff. Facts and analysis, we have Tanya Jackson Dyer, who was a paraprofessional at the Discovery Enrichment Center. She resigned effective 12/22 and had been with Benton Harbor Area Schools for 3 years. Exit interview was not conducted, it was scheduled, and the staff member did not show up. The recommended action is that the Benton Harbor Area Schools Board of Education votes to accept the resignation of the aforementioned staff, and that a letter is sent thanking her for her service to the students and the district of Benton Harbor Area Schools.
Thank you. Staff report number 2, I'm looking for a motion to accept the resignation of paraprofessional staff as stated by Kevin Bennett. Okay, we have a motion from trustee McGowan. I need a support. Trustee Momini. Any comments or questions at this time? If no questions or comments, Madam Secretary, would you call the roll?
Kelly?
Yes.
Ms. Mommy, yes. Ms. McGowan? Yes. Ms. Gass? Yes. Mr. Taylor?
Yes.
Mr. Mitchell?
Yes.
And Ms. C.
Yes. Staff report number 5, please.
Staff report 5, resignation of instructional staff. Reason for board consideration, the board must vote to accept the resignations of instructional staff. Facts and analysis, we have Melissa Yeski, a third grade teacher at MLK. Her resignation was effective the 12th of January, and she has been with Benton Harbor Area Schools for 7 years. Her exit interview has been scheduled. The recommended action is that Benton Harbor Area Schools Board of Education votes to accept the resignation of the affirmation staff and that a letter is sent thanking her for her service to the students and district of Benton Harbor Area Schools.
Thank you. Staff report number 5, we're looking for a motion for resignation of instructional staff at this time. Trustee Gass. Trustee Taylor, support. Any comments or questions at this time? Yes, Trustee McGowan.
Oh, did I not have that? She was at MLK. Sorry, I didn't say that, but it's there.
Any other questions or comments from the board? If no questions or comments, Madam Secretary, would you call the roll?
Romney? Yes. Mr. Gowan? Yes. Ms. Gass? Yes. Mr. Taylor?
Yes.
Mitchell?
Yes.
Ms. Seeks?
Yes.
And Ms. Owen?
Yes.
Thank you. Staff report number 6, please.
Staff report number 6, subject college advisor at Benton Harbor High School and Dream. Facts and analysis. Michigan College Access Network, or MCAN, and the Promise Foundation have funded a part-time college advisor position at Benton Harbor High School. And that was Arlene Wilson filling in that role for the past 3 years. This position has added value to our students and staff, college awareness experiences and exposure. Therefore, there is a strong desire for the position to be continued. The current funding ends at the end of this school year. MCAN has offered Benton Harbor Area Schools a grant to continue to fund a portion of this position as follows. Year 1, they'll fund $15,000, year 2, $10,000, and year 3, $5,000. The total position with salary and benefits is approximately $45,000. Benton Harbor Area Schools will fund the remaining portion of the salary and benefits through general funds. This part-time position will become full-time and be utilized at both the high school and Dream Academy. Reason for board consideration: the Board of Education recognizes the need to establish positions which, when filled by competent, qualified professional staff members, will assist the district in achieving the educational goals set by the board. There is a policy reference of 3111, and the recommended action is that the Benton Harbor Area Schools Board of Education votes to approve the retention and funding of the college advisor role at the high school and Dream as described above.
Staff report number 6, I will entertain a motion at this time. Move this item forward. Trustee Gass has made the motion, and Trustee Taylor has supported. This time we're open for questions and comments. Questions and comments. I do have a question in terms of employment. Down toward the signature, it said this is a full-time, 185-day position. Sir, yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Okay, because I thought I heard you and I heard you say this was part.
It currently is part-time.
It currently is.
The intention for next school year will be full-time to service both the high school and Dream.
Okay, give me 1 second, please. I want to go down to the bottom and see when this is dated. And there is no date on there. Okay, anyone else have any questions or comments? Okay, no questions or comments, Madam Secretary, would you call the roll, please?
Mr. Gowan? No. Ms. Gass? Yes. Taylor?
Yes.
Mr. Mitchell?
No.
Ms. Seeks?
No.
No. Ms. Harmon? No.
Motion, could we get the count, Secretary? What is the count?
5 no's and 3 yeses.
There was 5 noes and 2 yeses. Motion does not carry. At this time, we have item number 7 on the agenda, facilities and operations. Mr. Leonard, if you would.
Thank you. Staff report number 7 is for district vehicles and potential sale to CSM services. The reason for board consideration, district contract for custodial and maintenance services with CSM requires CSM to provide vehicles and equipment to perform the specified services within their contract. The contract also provides an opportunity for CSM to acquire district vehicles used for maintenance and custodial services on a right of first refusal basis. Facts and analysis. The district currently owns 15 vehicles, and CSM Services has submitted a proposal to purchase 5 of the vehicles. Below is a summary of their offer. The alternatives that were presented previously last month for consideration, the first one was to accept the quotes with CSM and sell the vehicles to them, resulting in an annual savings of almost $36,000 annually and receiving an immediate cash value in excess of $11,000. The second option that was discussed was the lease of the vehicles to CSM at the estimated annual operating cost. It has since been confirmed with CSM that they have informed us they are not interested in this alternative. The third alternative that was presented was the option to require CSM to acquire their own vehicles and either sell the district-owned vehicles to another third party and or retain the vehicles in storage for future use. The policy reference is 7310, disposition of surplus property. And as such, the recommended action is that the Benton Harbor Area School Board of Education votes to authorize the superintendent to negotiate the sale of the district vehicles identified in the CSM services offer to purchase and finalize the sale of said vehicles for no less than $11,001.
And that is option 1. That was option 1. Am I clear? Okay.
Correct.
So you did give us 3 options. The one was the lease. That option has been denied.
Yes.
And option number 3 is sell or to another individual. So we do have option 1 on the table. So I will entertain at this time from the board a motion to accept option number 1.
So I entertain alternate motion to accept alternate number 3, require CSM to acquire their own vehicles and to retain the vehicles in storage for future use.
Okay, I will entertain a support. I have a support from trustee Mitchell. And this is for option number 3. So we did not get a motion or support for option number 1. So that motion, that option is off the table. We do have a motion for the other option. So any questions or concerns concerning the motion that was just presented, Mr. Leonard and supported by Mr. Taylor and Mr. Mitchell? Yes, ma'am.
Just to clarify, so number 3. So we are striking out sell the district owned vehicles to the third party in item number 3. So that is not going to be submitted in the motion. It's just going to require that CSM purchase their own vehicles and we retain the vehicles in storage for future use.
Not a problem.
Is everyone clear on the motion that was put forth to this board? Any more questions or concerns? Madam Secretary, if you would you call the roll?
Yes. Mitchell? Yes.
Yes.
Kelly?
Yes.
Bonnie? Yes. Scott? No.
Motion carries. Staff report number 8, Mr. Leonard, thank you.
Staff report number 8 is related to inoperable vehicles within the district. The reason for board consideration is the administrator wishes to inform the board of the intent to dispose of inoperable property. Facts analysis, the district currently owns 5 inoperable vehicles. They're listed below for your reference. Policy reference is 7310, disposition of surplus property. And the recommended action is that the Benton Harbor Area Schools Board of Education votes to authorize the superintendent to dispose of these vehicles at the highest price.
Okay, we do have a, and that's the only option,
It is because they don't work.
because they are totally inoperable. I will entertain a motion at this time, for Mr. Leonard's report for staff report number 8, inoperable vehicles. I have a motion from, trustee McGowan. Can I get a support? Trustee Gas has supported. Any questions or comments at this time from the board? If you would, Madam Secretary, please call the roll.
Mr. Mitchell?
Yes.
Ms. Seats?
Yes.
Ms. Sully?
No.
Ms. Martin, yes. Ms. McGowan?
Yes.
And Ms. Gass?
Yes.
Would you give us the number, please, Secretary?
5 yeas, 2 nays.
Motion carries. Thank you. Okay, at this time on the agenda, we are at, we did move down to closed session for Clark Hill, and we would like to, at this time, entertain a motion. And I believe we have a written motion from Clark Hill in order to go into our closed session. If you would, Madam Secretary.
I move that the board convene into closed session pursuant to section 8H of the Open Meetings Act, consider a written opinion of legal counsel Clark Hill PLC.
I need a support.
Support.
I have a support from trustee Gas. Any comments or questions? Madam Secretary, if you will call the roll to go into closed session.
Mr. Mitchell?
Yes.
Taylor?
Yes.
Ms. Gass? Yes. Ms. McGowan? Ms. Mommy, yes. Ms. Sully? Yes. And Ms. Seats?
Yes, we would like to let the general public know that we do have other business that we do need to attend to, and we will try to be as expeditious as possible. Thank you for waiting. We'd like to make a motion to return back into open session. We have a motion and a support. Madam Secretary, would you call the roll?
Ms. Gadd? Yes. Taylor?
Yes.
Mr. Nicholas?
Yeah.
Ms. Downing? Ms. Martin, yes. Ms. Gully?
Yes.
Mr. C.
Yes. Thank you. Next item on the agenda is item number 8. And we would take this is, if you would, Dr. Walker, for the sake of time, would you go to the gas resolution response, and I believe this is it? Okay.
Correct. So before you, you have a folder, and inside that folder is the response to the resolution. I would encourage you to try your best to keep it in order. Might have been helpful to paginate it, but it was not possible because some things were interjected. So the first section gives some history, some background, and then identifies the resolution itself. And then it leads into the discipline review, the documents following that are supporting documents. So when you see parentheses, and unfortunately we didn't color it, but so you can't, it might be a little difficult to identify the corresponding document to the actual paperwork. And then, but you have supporting information that will be referenced in the report. And then there is a final portion that identifies kind of conclusions and next steps. So I will be happy to entertain questions as the board gets into this. But I just wanted to give you a minute to take a look, see if you have any initial questions about the information provided.
Okay. Board, any questions, concerns at this time? And we'll give you opportunity in the next few months. Done. So at our next regular board meeting, if there are some questions, or if we can at that particular time. Thank you, Superintendent. Consent item.
Yes, we are fortunate to have an entity want to correct, from what I understand, a long-standing issue with the girls softball field. They are going to do this at no cost to the district, although it's estimated to be about a $15,000 project, and just need the board's approval to receive this donation.
Any questions concerning the softball field donation? Okay. Thank you for the information. And do we need, is this an action item? Okay. Okay, if there are no concerns, then we'll go to item number 9 on the agenda, technology. Gina Lovelace.
Good evening.
Good evening.
I just, in our update, it seems like it hasn't been very long, and with all the snow days we had over break, it hasn't been very long. So this is what we've done in the last several weeks. We've continued to prepare the Chromebook carts for Hull. We do have 3 teachers that have iPad carts and Chromebook carts in their classrooms right now. They're trying to make that switch from iPads to Chromebooks, but when they were going to do NWEA testing, they didn't feel comfortable with the Chromebooks yet. So we left both carts in their room for that transition. They seem to be extremely happy about that, which only makes sense. It doesn't make sense that they're happy. It makes sense that we keep both carts in their room. So we got about 2.5 days of work. We were planning on going through a bunch of carts. We were caught midway as we were in the middle of MLK's carts, and came back last Monday and we had to kind of get everything back together and put them back together because we were going through the carts, making sure the machines were ready for testing. We did come back to some district phone issues related to a plowing incident out in front of MLK. our phone system provider, ISC out of New Zealand. They sold us the actual phone system in Benton Harbor. I can't tell you enough wonderful things about these guys. I called them, we quickly realized that this was an AT&T line issue, and they helped me call AT&T almost hourly for the 2 days that we were out with phones, just so that we could get a quick resolution. I can't ask for better customer service than that. They had nothing to do with AT&T. They didn't have to help us. It's not part of our contract with them. They chose to help us. So I was extremely happy with that. We got that resolved fairly quickly. We have found a couple anomalies going on with some internet issues. We do have a new wireless controller out for bid for E-rate right now. And when we switched over years from 2017 to 2018, that caused a date conflict with some of our older access points in the district. And I'm talking a lot of tech speak, so if you need clarification, just let me know. But Bud and Jeff stepped right up to the plate. We had to reprogram some of those old access points and got them up and moving, so I believe we're in a much better place for testing this week. That was real busy last week. Good progress has been made for RFPs, so we've been working on a phone paging RFP, copy machines, and video surveillance. So I'll continue to meet with Carolyn and work with Mr. Leonard on some of those items. We work on a district technology plan for the partnership agreement. We do have a small group of teachers that have volunteered to help, so we do have this on track to be completed in June, so you'll get an update in June on that. And as a follow-up to the two-way radio deployment, we have been approached by the radio manufacturer, Hytera, to have a case study written about our district for using their product. They were excited to learn some of the positive impact for emergency management and building safety that their product brought to our district. The way the radios were programmed had never been recognized by the higher-ups within the company, and they were really excited. They want to use us as an example in their national marketing campaign, possibly. So we'll get more information about that in the next couple of weeks and present some of that stuff to the superintendent and to the board as well. So I just think it's really exciting that they want to use us for something that is nationally accepted, so. And that's technology. Any questions?
Questions for Ms. Lovelace? I do have a question. You did say the service was down for 2 days. At what cost to the district?
I have not received a bill yet to know if AT&T will be billing us for those charges. And I don't know what kind of business time we lost we could not make outgoing calls or receive calls from parents. I don't know what cost that would be associated to the district with that.
Any questions for Ms. Lovelace? Thank you.
Sure.
Facilities, Brian Leonard.
Thank you. I think the first thing I want to draw your attention to is, if you haven't had the opportunity to notice, we'll change the format of the report a little bit to hopefully make it a little bit easier. I'll put the board questions, anything like that, so that it's readily available to you guys as we answer those as those are presented to me. I'll follow that with some general topical, or I guess we'd say district-wide topics, and then doing per building. I believe there was comment in the previous meeting that would be beneficial or be helpful. Some of the things that are transpiring in each one of the specific buildings that are going on. So just so you're aware of the change in the structure of the report. As far as items to draw your attention to, we're still waiting on a response back from the City of Benton Harbor Fire officer to give me confirmation on exactly how the interpretation of the current city code that's based on the 2006 fire code, as well as the townships, which is based on the 2015 fire code for property maintenance and property management related to fire line or fire lanes and things and methods of egress, maintaining clear methods of egress to open and closed facilities within both those areas. Hopefully by tomorrow, I'll have confirmed that information and their interpretation of what the International Fire Code that they have adopted actually states is the requirement of the school district. The other piece in regards to what Gina had actually mentioned with phones, you can see there's some snow removal services update, which identifies some of the businesses transpired with the company that we've contracted with for our snow removal services, and documentation therein of items that have been addressed or in the process of being addressed. I've also provided for you, because I was actually very excited, this information related to the daily mechanical equipment inspection procedures and weekly building custodial inspection procedures. We've mainstreamed and upgraded some of that. It may seem kind of in the weeds, so to say, down to the basics of what we do in our operations on a day-to-day basis, but the department was very proud of moving forward in those two respects. It actually proved to be beneficial. On Saturday, I received a call bright and early in the morning about a heating system failure over at ACA that we were able to intervene with when it was still in the process of evolving. And because of that, and the detail and the actual inspections that are being done, we can identify the problem, bring in the proper team to respond, resolve it, maintain at least partial heat within the facility, and then follow up today in a non-emergency rate to finish the repairs early this morning. So it's just kind of a nice example of how this type of inspection, this type of accountability in that process can pay off in the long term to minimize some of the costs the district incurs. We're moving forward with the building awareness and security camera monitoring enhancement plan, which is there for your reference if you'd like to look at that. It's just one of multiple steps in the stages of moving forward with maximizing utilization of our current equipment. I'm trying to think of other major things. We've not heard back anything on the pool yet. That should be slated for the end of this week. As soon as we get that information, I'll be glad to forward that to you. And then we did have an interesting thing. We had some leaks that transpired during the fall. There are photos there underneath the high school items that you're welcome to look at. But the leaks that were identified at the high school are actually from slugs that have been shot up in the air. We're assuming during, Carol and I were discussing that she actually made the connection with the New Year's. Approximately 73 slugs were discharged into the air and around the high school. They came down, projectiles came down, they punctured holes. We were able to find some of the slugs. Others are embedded in the roofing membrane, and there's nothing we can do to get to them. But we did think that was interesting. So somebody was having a good time New Year's Eve. We repaired the leaks respectively, and we'll move forward as needs to be to making permanent repairs. But just thought that was kind of a caveat. So other than that, there's a lot of information there, and I hope it's helpful. Please, if you have any questions, we're ready for that. Yes.
Okay. So I know, like, was it like 2 meetings ago, you talked about the metal detectors, and you said you have them calibrated, and they would be up and running. So I see you reported that they were up for the Christmas tournament game. Are they not?
Well, the handheld units, we were able to calibrate those. I calibrated those myself. We brought them back into service, brought them back to the high school for utilization, assuming that they're being utilized. The walkthroughs, we actually have an appointment hopefully scheduled for Thursday with the representative from Garrett, who is the manufacturer of those units, to come down and calibrate those, because the process is different for the walkthrough units. If they can't do it this week, they said they'd be able to return within about a week and a half to actually do that.
So it's not the walkthrough units that were calibrated, it's the wands.
The wands, correct.
So there's somebody stationed at the front of the building when the students come in and they wand?
That I don't know.
Okay.
Any questions, concerns for Mr. Leonard at this time concerning facility? I would like to, for the details, I like seeing, I'm a graphics person. I do like seeing some before and after. I do like seeing where you have some complaints, and I believe Mr. Taylor is looking at, for vendors and evaluation process, which would blend in very well in a policy. But thank you for this additional work that you put into the report, which may minimize or create more questions. That is mine. Yes, Trustee McGowan, and did I see your hand, Mr. Mitchell? Oh, sorry. Trustee McGowan.
So they're working, and I'm assuming the high school knows that they are working.
To be honest, I can't remember when the email communication went out. I believe the principal was included in that when we redistributed them to the school. It was directed to the AD at that point in time because it was during the Christmas tournament. But I have to go back and pull the email to verify. I can't imagine I didn't include them, but.
So it's his responsibility whether they're being used in the building. Okay. So, that's why I was checking, you aware.
They're using or not. And I can understand, I mean, just to that point with the wand, it is time consuming. Where we need that. Where the walkthroughs would be much more efficient. So as soon as we can get those calibrated and verified to function, then, that might be another option for the principals and decide on what's going to be the best utilized, maximized flow, if you will, in and out of the school for the student.
I realize that, but if we have the lines and they're working, and they should, I just would like to hear that they are.
Yes, Trustee Taylor.
So that just means, and thank you, Mr. Leonard, kudos to how you presented this today, I appreciate it. But to the metal detectors, then the superintendent, not the superintendent, but the principal, the superintendent needs to make sure that he's mandated to, at the games or whatever, use the wands right now, and maybe in a couple of weeks, the walkthroughs, when we get those calibrated, fixed or new, right, to use them, because we've been talking about safety. It's his requirement to make sure they're safe, because what we heard at this board table before was, well, they didn't like to look up. They didn't want it to be, looking like prison or whatever. So if that, we want safety. Okay.
And just to that point, I went to the game in Grand Rapids, and it was like I was going to the courthouse. I had to put my purse down. It was at high school. I had to put my purse down. They searched my purse, and they searched me. So.
So we have a request for the superintendent to see what is the status. Am I correct, Mr. Taylor?
Yes.
I mean, Trustee Taylor.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you. All right, Mr. Leonard, thank you again for the presentation and the improvement in the presentation. Business and Finance, Ms. Gibbs. Oh, I'm sorry. I done wrote so much on this, Ms. Robbins. Instructional and student support. Patricia Robbins.
Thank you. Good evening, board. We just have a few items. We did receive the first robotics grant for the high school, which was $2,500. And then also for MOK Megabot Team 1, and then also for Megabot Team 2 in the form of $950. Just attached the proposal sheet for our safety grants and kind of showing you how our worksheet, which we use to review the proposals, just kind of for your information there. We do that on an as-needed basis with our proposal committee. Summer school planning will begin this month. Ryan Skyden is putting together a team to guide this process. We're going to have a summer school committee. We're also looking at sending out surveys to parents next month to get input from them about the time and days and what would work best for them during the summer for summer school. Trinity Lutheran Community Outreach, they're going to provide backpacks on the weekends that's filled with food. We're getting that to our whole students. So there'll be 125 backpacks that will be given on a weekly basis to our students to take home over the weekend, and then brought back, they'll refill them. And this is the second year that we'll have this program. Also, we sent out or completed our online survey. We did this for the first time last year. This year we did it again. We had the window open from November 16th to December 21st. We did a few things to try to get parents to fill out the survey that's listed there. At the end of the day, we had 40 parents who complete the survey, 347 students in grades 2, 5, and 8 and 10, and then 76 staff completed the survey. Just want to let you know as well that we're continuing our BHAS training with Susan Isaac. And then also Dr. Anthony Muhammad will return in February to do his audits. Those audits were postponed in December due to some scheduling oversights with his end. So he'll be back in February to do his audits, and then again in April and May to do all district PD. And then also 21st Century will be renewing their grant or submitting a grant proposal to continue the 21st Century program. That's due in February. So Julie Earl is heading this up as well. And then also she is working with First T, Hero Scouting, and Girls Who Code and the 21st Century Program in President Bush's piece. And then I know I included that in our last month's report, is that the resort of practice training is January 31st. So we'll have that coming up here pretty soon.
Are there any questions for Ms. Robinson for the instructional and student support? No questions, thank you. Ms. Robinson, business and finance, Ms. Gibbs.
Just two things to update the board on. So one, you might have heard either in the news or we did communicate it to all of the staff that the state is refunding the 3% PA healthcare contribution for that time period, July 2010 through September 3rd, 2012. This is before they made the new law where everything was taken care of correctly. So we've been notified of who either current employees or former employees are entitled to get the refund. The state has not yet given us the money. When they give us the money, when we calculate to make sure everybody's records are in order, and then also the direction from Michigan Treasury about how to account for it. There's some question about do we have to go backwards into people's W-2s, which it looks like we won't have to. But once we get clear direction on the treatment for both the money to the individuals who are going to get a refund and also to us as a district, how we have to report that, we will refund it. We're working with Barry and Lisa because they do our payroll. And they're going to probably do a separate check so everybody knows that they actually got the money back rather than having it mixed in with a regular payroll or going somehow through the retirement system. So that's the current plan. We estimate we'll have to pay it out at the end of February, beginning of March.
Are there any questions of Ms. Gibbs at this time? Business and finance. Yes, Trustee McGowan.
On this one that you're getting?
If it gets, yes, if it gets treated, well, I'm gonna say yes with the caveat. If it gets treated as current earnings, as supplemental earnings, then if you live in Benton Harbor, you would have to pay the tax on it. But I will confirm that with that, because the way that
was, I thought all of our employees.
No, so that's my next piece of it. So I'll just move ahead to that. So the Benton Harbor city tax, is 1% on any business, so they have to pay us an income tax. For residents, it's 1% if you live in the city limits, no matter where you work. If you're a non-resident, but you work in Benton Harbor city limits, then it's 0.5%. So we have across our employee base a mix of everything. So our buildings that are within the city limits are the administration center, MLK, deck, and the high school that we're at here. So non-residents in those buildings have to pay 0.5%. Benton Harbor city residents, no matter what building they work in, have to pay the 1%. And then a small part of our population who are non-residents and work, let's say, at home, don't pay anything. So we're required to have a W-4 filled out for every employee so that we can prove to the city where people live, where they work, and then so we know what to withhold.
And I just feel sorry for the teachers. Now they're getting it back, but they're not getting it back.
Quick question. Now, does that include like, if once you step into the city limits, even if it's for snow plowing, how much, when does the time clock actually start? Is it per unit or is it per like half hour, hour? When does that clock actually
So I'll
start?
use an example that they used at the city when we had
Okay.
the meeting. So the airport is partially in Benton Harbor and partially in St. Joe. And they said when they shovel the runway that's in Benton Harbor, they have to track the time and pay the 1% on that. So for instance, our maintenance guys who go building to building, we as the district don't have to keep a log, but they as a person will have to keep a log that says, oh, I was over at Hall, and now I'm over at MLK, and I gotta know what time I spent at each, and then they have to take the hours as a percentage of their total hours, is how you say that's the percentage of my pay.
Anyone have any further questions on that item?
I feel like that before out. With my job, right? And so we have on there too, because if I work at Riverview for 4 or 5 hours, right? If I work at Central on M63, then it doesn't count, right? So it's prorated.
Okay, thank you. Next item on the agenda, board business. The first item under board business is board complaint against the superintendent. We were asked at this time how the superintendent wishes to proceed with this item on the agenda.
An open session.
Okay, the superintendent has requested an open session to deal with board complaint. I would caution the board at this time that there were conversations that may be attached to this complaint that was addressed in closed session. So I would caution the board. So this is open for discussion.
Did you want to give talk to the attorney since something may have been said in closed session that you don't want to break the law and discuss that here?
That would be for the will of the board. And it is the board's wishes, because again, if this complaint is tied to a closed session, then there cannot be open discussion, right? The Opens Meeting Act law. So I'm waiting for the desire of the board. If you want to turn this item over to the attorney, or how do you wish to proceed?
So are we determining a course of action or just reviewing the complaint?
I think the proper process would be review of the complaint first.
Well, I'm just confused. But the initial, that was attorney-client privilege, that we went into closed session about earlier. So I don't understand why the superintendent would get that, but I guess, I don't know.
She
We
did
can't
request
discuss
trustee,
anything.
and I did give her permission to
Oh.
come into that closed session. She asked the attorneys to ask for permission to come in, and I did grant.
Okay, I'm not just part of the confusion right there, because that's not, okay. But that's not how the previous closed sessions were handled for those individuals that was under investigation for the case.
Yeah, and it is proper.
So they could have asked.
Absolutely,
Okay.
that is correct. Am I correct? So, what is the will of the board? We are at this junction. Trustee McGowan. Trustee Mommy.
I don't know how we can discuss this.
We're not discussing it.
Okay. Because we have it.
And has been no discussion thus far.
So then, the next step is drop or turn it over to.
That is what I'm asking right now, trustee.
Yeah, I agree.
Okay, trustee McGowan. Yeah, that has been what I've just asked. And so, what is the will of the board at this time? I will entertain a motion to either withdraw the complaint or, second option is to ask, the attorney to, review the complaint. We have two options on the table, please.
Motion to have, Trim Law Firm review this complaint.
I do have a motion to have the, Troon Law Firm to do a review of the board complaint against superintendent. I will entertain a second.
Second.
I do have a second from trustee, Gass. Now, it is open now for discussion. Board members, questions, concerns? If there are no questions or concerns, I would ask, Madam Secretary, if you would call the roll, please.
Mr. Mitchell?
Yeah.
Taylor?
Yes.
Ms. Gap? Yes. Ms. McGowan? Yes. Ms. yes. Ms. Kelly?
Yes.
Ms. Seeds?
Yes, thank you. Staff report number 9, we are, I believe, superintendent, staff report number 9. That's the board. Okay, staff report number 9, if we would, I will defer to Mr. Taylor on staff report number 9.
So this, staff report was presented, not the staff report, I'm sorry, this, Neola board policy was presented to the board, probably about, I guess, 2 months ago. This was a central office type, it wasn't part of the bylaw, it was central administration. So they had the right to, the board doesn't have the right, based on Neola, to do administration policy. So I think Dr. Walker, they went back and we added last week the $500 on the proposals. I'm sorry, yeah. So no, I'm sorry, this is a section that the board can approve, right? Item A, B, or C.
Mm-hmm.
And so we added last week the proposal of $500, check the box on Marquez School District-wide proposal, government funded proposals of the amount, et cetera. So this is just a new board policy or an updated board policy, 0131.1 bylaws and policies. And facts and analysis, the board is requiring changes to grant fund policy 6110 because the consent agreement calls for Neola policies that Neola will stand behind. It is recommended that the board makes the changes that agree with Neola template for policy 6110, grant proposal, internal review. Item B, the superintendent should present the following proposals to the board for approval. Government funding proposals, regardless of the amount, proposals with budgets exceeding 500 or more, multi-school or district-wide proposals, 01 board policy of reference, 0131.1 bylaws and policies. Recommended action that the Benton Harbor Area School Board of Education votes to approve the Benton Harbor Area Schools updated Neola policy grant fund policy 6110, grant proposal internal review to read as follows. The superintendent shall present the following proposals to the board for approval. Government funded proposals regardless of the amount, proposals and budgets exceeding 500 and or and multi-school or district-wide proposals.
Mr. Taylor, I will entertain a motion for the Neola policy 6110. I do have a motion by trustee Gully and a support by trustee McGowan. Any questions or concerns at this time before we call for the vote? Call for the roll. If none, Madam Secretary, would you call the roll, please?
McGowan? Yes. Gap? Taylor?
Yes.
Mr. Mitchell?
Yes.
Mountain? Yes. Ms. Kelly?
Yes.
And Ms. Seeds?
Yes, thank you. We are at item number 11 on board collaboration.
partnership agreement. And Trustee Momini, if you would, please.
Okay, I've gone through and, met our criteria for most of the timelines of policies and protocols and developing a professional development plan. However, now we need to go back and we need to make sure we are implementing everything that is in these plans that we adopted. And what I'm going to come up with this month is the board self-evaluation. The month of January, we must do a board self-evaluation. We adopted the NASB board self-evaluation. It is an online survey. You should have received an email earlier this evening that gives you the link to go in and take that board survey. This is free to us. If we want to get deeper information, we can pay anywhere from $350 to $700. Yeah, we kind of went, nah. But we have to make sure all 7 of us complete the survey, otherwise we will receive no information at all. So if you run into problems, connected to that link, see Gina.
What's your phone number?
So hopefully that link, it's 75 questions, they say it should take 20 to 25. Now, I don't know what the case wants to take on your own, or whether you want to set aside 20 minutes in the January 23rd meeting, just all take it together. Vote for. Now, it's not good on you.
Yes, Trustee Gavin.
Yes.
Gas. Yes, it is.
And how will, so you will track who has taken this?
And NASB will, and I'll have to have a problem to be against for them, yeah.
So that we make sure that everybody does take it, so we can.
And it's only, once we started, it's only live for 2 weeks. So we've got 2 weeks to complete it. Otherwise, we fail our test.
Yeah, that way we don't have to do it next week.
Okay. Thank you.
Well, you get them right away, the better it is. And, I have spent some time with Ms. Seats going through the partnership agreement, going through that basically adopting to make sure that we are staying compliant, not only on adopting the things we want us to do, but so that we are making sure we are doing what we said we would within each of those documents. So each board meeting, so we want copy. Most of it now will be on things that we just need to keep up with, not that we can do that.
And to add to that, the assistant is the deputy director at the Michigan Department of Education will be here on Friday. I, along with possibly, I know the secretary will be there, maybe one other board member, to sit down and to go over the partnership agreement they have requested. And they've also requested that she comes and meets with all of the board members and we have a discussion about the partnership agreement. She did not say there was a concern. She just wanted to have an updated conversation with that board. And I think that's something she has requested. So I will give you a date and send that date to all the board members after the Friday meeting at, I believe it's at 9 o'clock. All right, no other, Trustee Momini, are you complete? Okay, thank you. Item number 12, grant program approvals, and that will be Ms. Robinson. And if I would, before you do, the reason that these other grants were asked to be removed for this evening is so that we complete the investigation and that we have the measurements and stuff in place before that we grant anything else, so that we do not have any concerns with Michigan Department of Education, Department of Treasury, or with this board. And so it is not a denial.
It's just that we asked because Lego Robotics Club has been a long-standing program with this board. So if anyone questions why they were removed just for this evening until we get some more information from. So that's what that happened. Staff report number 10, Ms. Robinson.
Staff report number 10, reasonable board consideration. It is the intent of the board to consider grant proposals and applications for their potential to enhance educational opportunities, the educational environment, and physical and mental growth for each student. Policy reference 6110 recommends action that the Benton Harbor Area Schools Board of Education votes to accept the Lego robotics proposal in the amount of $6,840.
Thank you. I will entertain a motion at this time to accept staff report for the Lego Robotic Club. I need a second. I received that second from Ms. Gass, trustee Gass. Any questions or concerns? Madam Secretary, you will call the roll, please. Yes.
Yes. Yes. Donna? Yes. 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 Taylor?
Yes.
Mr. McDonald? Oh, sorry. I put it down as yes.
And thank you. At this time is item number 13 on the board. And if you do see, and this is part of my comment, if you do see some changes to the agenda, I would request that the board work with me and the superintendent in making changes to the agenda. And that way we can maximize our time in the workshop. And then when it comes to the regular meeting, that there are consent items. I did talk to the superintendent for a second consent item where we can do just a vote for all the items on the consent agreement or the consent agenda. And then other things we can move forward, which you would like to see to minimize time. Please submit that either to myself or to Secretary Momini so that we make best use of our time. And I would like to say that I do appreciate this opportunity and any input that I can get from any of the board members so that we can all be engaging in this board to make this engagement for the remainder of this school year as smooth and as beneficial as possible. I appreciate it. Thank you at this time. And I did talk to the superintendent about moving her comments up further, and she did agree that that may be beneficial because there's times in the audience that people are here and do want to hear from the superintendent. So she has consented to that. Superintendent, your comments, please.
Thank you. So wanted to again recognize the board for the month of January as the board recognition month. Also, it is the intent that Mr. Crucial would like to, at a sporting event, the next couple basketball games, recognize you as well. So if you're at or attend any of the athletic events for the month of January, we do want to purposefully recognize you. So please, let him know if you're there, or he may have another system in mind, but I just want you to be aware that that is a part of the plan to continue recognizing you for the month of January. Thing number two, regarding the complaint and the vote that just occurred, the information provided to me by the board and the topics don't match for me, so I'm confused and wanted to go on record to say that because what I was told, they don't match. So I feel like I'm not following the board and understanding what just happened.
Okay, we'll get you that clarification. Okay, from the original email that came from former President Taylor. We will answer.
I got a follow-up though from this current board. So in that follow-up,
yes,
they don't match. So the question of open session was responding, not that I wouldn't have done open session, but I don't know.
Okay.
I knew before.
We'll get some clarification. And so that we're clear also before we proceed.
Thank you. And then the last one is I just want to reiterate again that I have been asked for the weekly memo. And I will not release that without a directive from the board. So I just want you all to be aware of that. That's the disconnect for me because I have been asked to provide that.
Okay, and, so per the superintendent's statement now, she has been requested by Clark Hill to release the weekly memo. And, at this time, is there any discussion from the board? And we can entertain it at that time so that we can release the superintendent to either submit that weekly memo to them or deny that request. So it is the will of the board. Open for discussion.
Well, I recall when Mr. Taylor was the president, in his email to the superintendent, and he copied the board, he said, please cooperate with Clark Hill and give them any information that they needed to conduct the investigation. So I understand there was a write-up because you released the weekly memo to the staff who was not entitled to that information, but I do not have a problem with releasing it to legal counsel.
Any additional comments? Okay, so, we do, I believe it's the consensus of the board per the original, a conversation with former President Taylor that just offer your full cooperation. And if there is no concern from the board, then you do have the freedom to do that. Yes.
I will send an electronic version as well, the response to the resolution that will help you follow easier, the paper documents that you have, but with the written report, because it's a little harder to follow when it's printed out.
Okay.
So I'll send you the electronic version as well.
That's to your resolution, Trustee Gass. Okay. Next on the agenda, and thank you, we're on other, and at this time, other is board members, you have anything that you all would like to at this time, or that is other could also be for staff also before. No board members have any?
Well, I would
Trustee.
like, for the board to, consider inviting the nurse, Karen Smith, to get a better understanding as to what her scope of service is to the district and to see the need, for our students, because I was able to actually speak with her and have a conversation, as to what she does provide for our students, and I didn't realize it was to that level. Because, what she's servicing for our students is, some of our students have diabetes and they require insulin. So when, it was brought to our attention that our staff was contacting her without the permission of their administrator, and we was like, why did staff calling a nurse? But they were calling the nurse because the students were becoming ill in the classrooms, and anybody who knows, I don't know, I got family members with diabetes that require insulin, and they be having to go to the hospital and sometimes can fall into a coma and have serious incidents. So that's what they were calling the student nurse for, because they have students in their classrooms that require insulin, and it's to be administered by a certified person. So that is what she does. She makes sure that their levels are where they should be, because what I was told is that too much insulin can cause a death, or too little insulin may also cause a death. And that there were contracts submitted to administration. I'm not sure of those conversations. I can't confirm anything, I wasn't there. But just to invite her here, from the Board of Education, to actually hear the scope of business and possibly negotiate her services, so that we can have somebody who already has an established relationship with our students, to continue to take care of them, of their needs, because I don't want to lose any of our students to, something that we don't understand what exactly is going on in our district. So I would like to see that at our next meeting. Ms. Smith, I don't know who's going to provide that invite, and her boss, just so we can review as a board what she does and see if it's possible that we can squeeze in some type of services to address our students who have those different needs, because it's not only diabetes, it's also lice. Some of the students need lice treatment, and that's You don't want lights jumping off on your kids coming home from school. But I'm just saying, so those are important services that we need to think about.
Thank you. We do have a request from a board member, and what is the will of the board to send a formal request via administration to invite, yes, Ms.
I move that we send a formal request to Karen Smith.
Okay. We do have a motion. And can we get, can I get a support? Support. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Ayes have it. You didn't have that on your record. And we're at the last item of the agenda. Number 17, board announcements and reminders. And you'll see this is also new. And if the secretary, board secretary would please, they're there for your reminder. But if you could please touch on or highlight on these announcements, please.
Yes, the state of Michigan has developed a new parent dashboard where parents can go in and find out how the schools are doing in a number of areas. So we're going to receive training and some ideas on how we can encourage our parents to participate in that and to use it effectively. There is one more state board reps that are planning on the February meeting. And then in March, we do need to do superintendent's evaluation. And that is also an MASC research-based evaluation that we approved last year.
Any other announcements? And this would be the time if there's events or something that we want to use for announcements that would be concerning to the board. Also, I'd like to, at this time, if there is no disagreement from the board, to appoint Mr. Taylor and Mr. Mitchell to participate in the game, the safety game grant meetings concerning allocation of funds and programs. And I will open it for discussion. And if Mr. Taylor is willing to serve on that, I would appreciate it. And if he's not, then I'd like to appoint somebody else along with Mr. Mitchell. Any discussion? Mr. Taylor, you would accept that opportunity? I appreciate it. Thank you so much. There is item 13, and it is called adjournment. Be it therefore resolved that the Benton Harbor Area Schools Board of Education meeting be adjourned. Call the roll, Madam Secretary.
Mr. Taylor.
Yes.
Ms. Cass. Yes. Mr. Gowan. Ms. Nominee, yes. Ms. Sully. And Ms. Steve.
Yes. Meeting is adjourned at 9:52.